wanted to address the topic of can mold avoidance heal craniocervical instability, which I think has been going around a lot because craniocervical instability is a problem that's gotten a lot more visibility. I think the short answer is it depends. In my case, I don't think it can, and so that it's a controversial topic, and I want to address why I don't think it can in my case, why I think that it may not in the majority of cases, although we'll see, and why people might erroneously think that it can when it can. So I don't think that it's always impossible biologically for ligaments to regenerate themselves. But in mold avoidance, we take our experience seriously. And my experience has been that over the past year and a half, I've experienced like a super wide array of benefits that are probably typical of mold avoidance. Decreased POTS, decreased PEM, the ability to walk around a lot but still have to wear a collar, and so decreased insomnia, decreased mast cell activation reactions, a lot of things that are really reliable, increased gut motility. And so I'm not a really experienced mold avoider, but I know what it feels like to be in good air, and I have my conditions, my overall health condition improve. I know like general patterns, and I also know how to recognize some of the major types of toxins. This is also a controversial thing. To be really strict, Eric, I think, wouldn't have used these names for these types of toxins, but he would say there are different types of badness arising from different areas, like sewer, plumes, etc. Anyway, so I'm not that familiar with fire retardant associated toxin, but that's mainly because my goal hasn't been to learn how to sniff out difficult toxins. It's been, since I'm very fragile and unhealthy, to just try and stay in good places and heal as much as I can. So what we've run into is more like what people call mystery toxin and cyanobacteria a lot, and I think I'm very familiar with those, and HT, or what people call hell toxin, and then regular building mold or very bad building mold. So I'd say I'm familiar with those four, and not that familiar with fire retardant associated toxin. But I also do know that I think that even if I'm not super experienced with the warning signs of that, that's not because I'm just like living in it all the time and that's why my ligaments are bad. I live in areas where I, have said, this is how I feel in every part of the greater Vegas area, and then Lisa Peterson, who's way more experienced than me and way more experienced than most of you all, has said that lines up with my experience. I don't think that the reason my ligaments have not regenerated or continued to deteriorate is because I'm living in fire retardant associated toxin, which is something people have pointed out. And I think that we just haven't spent that much time in heavy fire retardant associated toxin areas like Flagstaff, or like we've never been to Colorado, and I did sense a lot of the symptoms of it on a recent trip to Great Basin National Park. So I do think I know how to tell, even if it's not like the specific warning signs of a specific toxin. I know how to tell when I'm in very good air and when I'm in fairly bad air, or just air that's not conducive to healing. And I just don't think there's a way to mistake that. Like when I'm in good air, I feel unmistakable euphoria and clarity, but that is not incompatible with still having CCI. If I can still have lots of neck pain, and I still need to wear a brace because my ligaments did not regenerate themselves. And so yeah, I guess that's the first reason I think that my CCI can't heal from mold avoidance purely. Is just that I've been doing it for a while and it hasn't. People might say, well, you haven't been doing it long enough, like give it more time. Well, it's kind of a ticking time bomb. You can't just simply wear a collar, cervical collar for years. You decondition your neck, and since I'm dependent on that, I also just can't go without it. So I have to either totally heal my CCI in a non-surgical way, or I have to have surgery, and it's a very time-dependent thing. In fact, like, I'm sure my surgeon would think I'm crazy for having spent the last year and a half, or it's like a year, doing mold avoidance, but it's something that I really want to try and give time to work. So yeah, that's the first argument, is that my experience says it hasn't worked, and the experience is the most important thing. And the fact that it has worked for a lot of other symptoms but hasn't worked for this makes me think the problem is not location, but that it just okay, I can't